For as you let the past be lifted, and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. Let me read that sentence again. For as you let the past be lifted and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. This is the power of our mind. Ego's past and future. Spirit mind is right here, right now. And that's a choice that we make. That's a choice that we make. And as we choose to be here, right now, we share this with the world. Freeing the world of all the sorrow, all of the illusions of scarcity and lack and pain and death and torture and sin. When we release them from our minds, we release them from the world. So let's do this, people. It says, you have enslaved the world with all of your fears, with doubts and miseries, your pain and tears, and all your sorrows. Press upon it and keep it a prisoner to your beliefs. Death strikes it everywhere because you hold the bitter thought of death within your mind. The world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning. And what you behold upon it are your wishes. Act it out so you can look on them and think them real. The world in and of itself is nothing. Your mind gives it meaning. Some of the first lessons in the course are basically teaching you that your thoughts are meaningless, that you really don't know what anything is, that you can look at this cup here, right? We really don't know what this cup is. When we start to question, what is the meaning behind this cup? We only know that it's a cup, and we only know that you drink out of it and what it is based on past experiences. If we have never learned what a cup is, or how to sip from it, or what it means, or how to hold it, we would have no idea. That's why babies in the infant stage, they go, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Because they have no idea, right? We label the world as we see it. And generally speaking, our beliefs and our values come from our parents because they teach us theirs. And we accept them. And then we believe them as real. And then because we believe them as real, we see them in our experience, and this experience confirms to us that they are real. And therefore we think what we see in our experience is true reality. But it's not. It's just the reflection of our own inner thinking. But when we change our own inner thinking, what happens out there changes. Damn, so simple. Perhaps you think you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. That's what most people think. You're just born and you show up in this world, and that's just what it is, right? Yet in truth, you found exactly what you looked for when you came. There is no world apart from what you wish, and herein lies your ultimate release. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. Pretty much. As we change our mind, everything outside of us changes. Ideas leave not their source. The central theme is often stated in the text, and must be borne in mind if you would understand the lesson for today. It's not pride which tells you that you made the world you see, and that it changes as you change your mind. But it is pride that argues you have come into a world quite separate from yourself, impervious to what you think, and quite apart from what you chance to think it is. Right? So that this goes along with the whole ego mind, right? The ego doesn't want us to know that we are the ones who created our experiences, that we are ones that created the world in which we see. The reason this is so is because if we start doing that and recognizing that it's ego that has created our world and our experiences up until now, then we start to question. Then we start to let go of that ego mind. We start to not to listen to that ego mind. And this means death of the ego mind. Ego believes in death. Ego believes in sin. Ego believes in anger and defense and attack. And all of these things we have learned through our experiences in this world based on what we believe is true. When we change these beliefs at the cause within the mind, everything that we see through our eyes changes. Our life reflects our thought change. We are the leaders of our own lives through our own mind. And yet when we are still in this mind of ego, still in this mind of separation, we are still missing our link that joins us with our brothers and sisters in God. We are still missing the link that brings us this peace, this happiness, this joy in which we are seeking out there. This lesson today reminds us that the power is ours to change our experiences right here, right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. We can continue to choose to change our mind tomorrow, but we don't know what's going to happen. We always start fresh and brand new right here, right now. There is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. Not everyone is ready to accept it, and each one must go as he can, let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still farther, or perhaps step back a while, and then return again. What Jesus is saying here is this thought, there is no world, is a hefty, lofty statement for one who believes that they are part of the world and that they live in this world and that they are a body who needs this world to survive on this physical plane. It's a blow to the ego, right? And therefore the ego will do whatever it can to not believe it and to disregard it. And a lot of the time what happens is the wall comes down on the learning, the ego walks away to experience whatever it feels that it needs to experience, until again they are brought back on the road to remember who they really are and to remember that there really is no world and to come back on. So even though it may look like someone in a part of their journey starts to refuse our divine true thoughts of who we are and what this world is and what each other are, they'll still come back. They'll still come back to remember these truths, because as souls, this is the whole point as to why we're here. This is the whole point, is learning and growth and true remembrance of who we are here on earth, so we may bring heaven here through us. Thank you, God. So yeah. But healing is the gift of those who are prepared to learn there is no world and can accept the lesson now. Their readiness will bring the lesson to them in some form which they can understand and recognize. Some see it suddenly on point of death and rise to teach it. Others find it an experience that is not of this world, which shows them that the world does not exist because they behold much be the truth, and yet it clearly contradicts the world. And some will find it in this course, and in the exercises that we do today. Today's idea is true because the world does not exist. And if it is indeed your own imagining, then you can lose it from all things you ever thought it was by merely changing all the thoughts that gave it these appearances. The sick are healed as you let go of all thoughts of sickness, and the death arise when you let thoughts of life replace all thoughts you ever held of death. These are some lofty statements here, Jesus, right? Jesus is saying that the reason that this lesson is true today, that there is no world, and that this world does not exist, is because this world does not exist apart from our mind. The world exists within our mind, and collectively through our own beliefs of it, we experience it in our external reality. When we begin to go within our own mind and change our own thoughts of this world, and that change the way in which we see this world, no more believing in death. No more believing that I'm this body that can die. No more believing that other people can hurt me. No more believing that other people can cause me pain and suffering. All of these beliefs, all of these thoughts must be changed. And to recognize that we are the cause of our experience, because the cause is within our mind. And therefore Jesus concludes this lofty statement of realizing, the truth of who we are by some like have near death experiences, some have experiences with other realms of consciousness, some find it through this course by undoing their ego mind that they recognize has created this world. Once all that happens, we realize that in our mind, once we let go of all the thoughts of sickness, all of the thoughts of death, all of the thoughts of pain, they fall away. This is why Jesus was able to raise the dead, because he saw these people as the souls that they are. These souls are living. These souls are eternal. These souls are perfect and whole and can never die. And when he looks at us through his eyes of his Christ eyes, he sees only the Christ in us. And therefore, when he looks to the Christ in us, it is the Christ that chooses whether it wants to be experiencing this physical realm or not. It's always a choice. And then from that recognition that it is a choice to live, that soul is called back. That soul is called back. And if they choose to accept it, they can accept it. And then their body supports their soul decision. That's what happens. This body is not who we are. It's a casing for our soul. Right? It is a vessel for our soul. That is all. Right? We are here momentarily. This is a dream we are living together. We are collectively dreaming it together. We are sleeping. Therefore, this world does not exist. Just like when we go to bed at night, we have a dream. We wake up in the morning. We know that dream was not real. We don't try and pretend that it was real, because it was not real. We just kind of fluff it on by, and we can continue on our day. It's the same thing when we're going throughout our day. We are still dreaming. We have yet to wake up. We're just at a different level of consciousness. We are now engaged in a collective consciousness. Right? And when we choose to change this, what we think is reality outside of us, to true reality within us, and when we change the source of all our thoughts to one of God, our entire life changes to bring God here instead of living through the mind that is separate from God and thinking that we can suffer and feel pain and die and blah, 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 blah.